Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Back with another watch list, this time for Thursday, September 18th. Same situation as yesterday. I'm just getting home, ran in the door, and straight upstairs. Getting on desk here, and haven't ran scans or that sort of thing, so same kind of process as yesterday. I'll go over my trades from today. You guys throw out any tickers you want to talk about or you have on watch. And then I will run through scans once we get through that and see where we're at. What's going on, Jeff? So decent day. Nothing crazy, as I kind of anticipated yesterday. Wasn't going into today swinging for the fences last few days. Was sizing up 2R, 3R, looking to really add to winners and whatnot. So OPI was the first thing that triggered today. And right near the open, just a straight down panic. And this is what I said on this one and Wolf. OPI and Wolf. I felt like they had pulled back enough on their first red days. The only trade I saw in them was a panic. And Wolf obviously didn't, but OPI did right off the open. So it did get the panic, looking left into some prior resistance levels. And I just reacted to the flush and just spammed hotkeys, just kept clicking buy and filled whatever would fill. Locked in the immediate scalp for about 4 or 5 cents. And moved on. Obviously went a lot higher, but also went a lot lower. Towards the close, somewhere around here, I saw a tweet and some news posted in Investors Underground talking about how they were looking at possible bankruptcy. Not that they've declared bankruptcy, just that they're looking at it. And that was the reason for this volume and little panic. And then market closes and it's gapping down quite a ways there in after hours. So I don't hate this for a possible mean reversion, like a little reversal back up towards 70s. I do think it's in the cards. Anyone who shorted this headline, if it starts to come back, maybe shorts get a bit antsy and start to cover. So I will have that one on watch for a backside bounce as well. Didn't do anything with Lou today. Really liking the wicks there on the daily. If this starts to come back and break these 230s, 240s, can probably move risk to 220s because today's low is right on the 10-day SMA. So probably can trail it to this low at this point, which is $10 in the money. So can't lose on that one. The next one that triggered was GoPro through this little tight flag after it was holding the breakout level. So I just blindly bought the breakout level, set a stop at low a day. This one here didn't trigger me, but once it rolled over and failed. This is the same kind of thing that I mentioned on the short side covers yesterday. When we get that swipe back, you want to see dips start to hold, and it swiped back and just was lower highs. So that was not a good sign to continue to try and force what I wanted to happen. Was a bit weird because it is an open sympathy, and open was steady highs all day. So kind of weird and unexpected for this one to fail, but it is what it is. AIRE got stopped out on that one. Bought the prior day high, the break over the prior day's highs through the 130s. Started to push and break the 140s, but couldn't build over it. So didn't firm, no reason for any ads. The buy was risking this low a day and stopped out. So minus 1R on GoPro, minus 1R on Air, and then was up maybe, I don't know, half an R, something on OPI. I didn't film a full position, but incredible. Up about 5R on this one. Monster move. Obviously still going higher here in after hours, but really happy with the executions here. Now let's dive into the intraday chart. So what I get is the plan yesterday on the watch list for those of you that tuned in was looking for it to break over this range. If I take out some of today's action, it might look a bit cleaner. If we go something like this, yeah. So was looking for it to either build over 1, or what I wanted was the break under 80s. We got that in pre-market, and then getting towards market open, they secured a $3 million financing, non-dilutive, basically like an investment in exchange for some, I think it was promissory notes, and had a positive reaction. So I was waiting to see if it would break and build through 1s. And it did. So according to my plan yesterday, was looking to take advantage of it breaking out of that 20-cent channel. So I'm longing through day's highs through that $1 and set a stop on low a day, which was this candle. 91 cents. So basically risking 10 cents and 10 or 11 cents. And then as I wrote in the room, I was looking to add and scale. I wrote it somewhere around here, around 10 o'clock. If this were to break and build through 118s, then I'd like to scale and move risk to the most recent dip. So I added, I wasn't watching it. So I bought one of the next pullbacks and moved risk up to $1. So on these shares, I was only risking like a penny or two. This one here was risking maybe 20 cents, so I was able to put on about another third of a position or so, and I let that trade work. I got off desk shortly after, set a stop around $1, and just let it work. I checked back in a little bit later. It was up in the 150s, so after risking about 8 to 10 cents and being up about 50 cents, then I started to lock in. And I locked in some more there in the 60s, just because we had a hard crack lower highs. I was just periodically checking this from my phone, and I saw the hard crack lower high. So I locked in the rest of the position, and then, of course, 2 p.m. comes around, and the Fed meeting completely dumps it. Still, big picture, holds the breakout level. So if you were aggressive and had a bias, I was not willing to swing this. As I've mentioned, with their earnings coming out at some point before the end of the month. So I was not willing to swing it, just given the overnight risk. But if you were aggressive and willing to take that risk, buying this flush or any of these higher lows versus that flush low was fairly decent risk reward there for higher. If it was a breakout in a vacuum, any of this, I probably start to put some back on and just risk 120. But just given that earnings risk, I don't have an interest. So this one here, the main winner of the day, and made up for all the losses and just kind of letting risk reward do its thing. Nice idea and trade on Atch. Thank you. Nice to see you, Chris. So Air, Atch, GoPro, OPI. That's all I had. Navini, pretty funny. Stuff and Such had mentioned this yesterday, and it actually did start to break out there today. I saw it all morning. No volume ever came in on it. It was just a steady bidder. So I didn't participate, but we will see. Maybe it pushes, consolidates. You get something like this, where it goes straight up into it, stuffs, and then a couple days collects itself. What was the other one? BTOG, was it? Yeah. Goes straight up, consolidates for a couple days, and then maybe played this day. So maybe it pushes, consolidates over 70s, and then can join that trend. Looking at it like this, volume doesn't look too bad, but looking at it like this, nothing really there. So I did not participate in that one. Open, this one here looks good for higher, consolidating right up in its upper channel with the Fed meeting. It's the only reason it really pulled back. But I don't mind this one, joining dips on that tomorrow. Air would really need to wait for that 140s, especially with that fail there today. Atch, I had a question on this one today. If I liked it for a short tomorrow, and at this point I gauge the extension from 120, and it's just not up enough. It's only up a day. It's not a multi-day runner, and then especially with it gapping up in after hours now, the close was, right around here, 150. So it's up about 30% already. So we're in the same boat as this, where it breaks out, you get a nice big gap up, but now you got gap traders looking to trade it tomorrow. So hopefully this runs 250, 280, 320, something crazy, and then I can look to trade it maybe on Friday, but no plan on that one for tomorrow. OPI, I mentioned that one, possible backside bounce. Would really try to be patient on this one. I don't know if the news is going to affect it. I don't know if it's, yeah, maybe you get a steady bid in it tomorrow and trap some shorts. So I will keep that one on watch for a backside bounce. Really try to wait for a opening range break. This one here, great avoid on the liquidity trap. Wasn't over prior resistance, so no reason to force it. Turb holding up, but just too much overhead. So those are all the recent runners. You guys haven't mentioned any tickers yet, so I will run through scans and just see if I've got any new ideas for tomorrow. And again, I'm not gonna try to force anything or really look for a ton of ideas. Like I've got OPI, I've got open. Really the main two I can see right now. So I'm not gonna try to find anything. I'm fine focusing on one or two names. It's really where I perform best, is when there's not too much. Navini, I hope that just consolidates for a day or two. It's so weird how it failed to come back. Like, why didn't it just squeeze out there? It broke this lower high trend. Why didn't it go there? So weird. Some of these China names starting to extend. PDD, Baidu. What's Baba doing? Baidu looks the most extended. Excuse me. Atch keeps hitting a bunch of scans. I did have a question about BITF today as well. I don't typically do well shorting Bitcoin names, and it's not really expanding its range as it goes higher, so not really interested in that. Air worth mentioning too. Like, this was a sympathy at one point to open, I believe, wasn't it? Back on 721. Should have helped it, but the sympathies just aren't catching. Not catching whatsoever. OPAD, that thing looks like it's got to pick a direction soon. I mean, that's getting there. That's about as clean as you get. EDOC just doesn't look like it's trading a ton of volume. Meh. Oh wow, QBTS finally went today. Wow. Remember that IONQ idea? 43 up almost $30 a share. This thing's straight up. God damn. Do you have an exact number for considering illiquid stocks? No, I do not. Typically, illiquid is either relative to prior price action in the chart, like something like ATCH, for example. I would deem all of this illiquid because it just traded 200 million shares and now has nothing. But when it's trading 40 million and just traded 200, this day is not illiquid. And you can also look at intraday. This is what liquid price action looks like, and this is what illiquid price action looks like. A bunch of gaps in the minute to minute, not a ton of trends. So I usually look at the intraday and then I look at it relative to how it's traded in the past. Almost done. Not really finding a ton. I see neg starting to shape up with a little bottom bounce. Flagging down here. Maybe that breaks 49 and gets going, but I won't trade it. What else? What else? What else? Last list here. Only 30 names. OUST looks alright. Looks kind of like the IONQ daily. I don't know. NBIS. Starting to bounce. I don't know. These large caps just aren't super clean right now. Yeah, not a ton on there. Are you more discretion or system? I deem system traders where like basically a computer could execute your trades, so I am like 100% discretionary. Although I have criteria and whatnot of what I want to see, but it's just from back testing and statistics. But I execute my trades discretionarily. I have entry triggers, I have stops that like statistically work over time. But yeah, I would define systematic trading as a computer could do it. And I don't have rules laid out that strictly that a computer could do exactly what I'm doing. Like I'm sure a computer could enter GoPro on a prior high break and risk low a day. But there's also breakouts like it would have bought Navini because this is a prior high that broke. So it would have bought up here and risked low a day, which I would never buy up here and risk low a day. I would never buy up here. It's up way too much. That's discretionary, but visually I can see why ATCH, when it breaks out a 118, I can buy it. And I can visually see why I don't buy when this breaks out at 82, because this one fails and this one runs. So I don't, you might be able to quantify it for a computer, but that's just I look at it and I discretionarily know this one should work and this one shouldn't. Whether I can strictly say X, Y, and Z is Y, I don't know. Just checking out Nate's scan here, seeing if he's seeing anything I'm not. Or we have a lot of similar watches. Navini, Quantums. I don't really trade Quantums. I find them a bit tough. Like on any other ticker, when they start to speed up like that, I typically look to short them. But with Quantums, they're a bit tougher. Open, Atch. We've got similar watches there. Stuff and such. Let me see here. Missing the beginning. What was your trigger to be in Atch before 118? What was your goal? When do you not swing breakouts? Yeah, I did touch on this, but I will, given that it was such a good op today, I'll talk about it again. But the watch list yesterday, my plan on it was to play a range break out of yesterday's range. That was my plan on it yesterday on the watch list. So my goal was the 80s breakdown, have it fade today, and then look for a backside bounce. But if you go back and watch the watch list yesterday, I was also willing, if this were to break and build over 1, that I was looking to join that trend. So you can see these lower highs, prior day's highs. So I bought 1 and just risked low a day. So I was risking about 10 cents there. That was the early entry, risking 1R off of lows, and then was able to pyramid and add into that position, move risk up to $1, 10 cents higher, and get back up to 1R. But now I have more size as the trade is working. And that was the reason for the long. The goal, I didn't have a price target. I was just looking to sell into sped up price action. We got a couple high day clear outs that just weren't pushing. And then we got the speed up, hard crack, lower highs, lock in there. So that was the goal, just to react to when it told me to sell, lock into pieces, and then sell the rest. This was about half, and this was about half. And when do I not swing? I didn't swing this because this has earnings coming out by the end of the month. So I do not want to hold this overnight. My comment on it at the beginning of this video was this stock and this chart in a vacuum. If it doesn't have earnings risk, this is 100% a swing. It held the breakout even after the Fed news and held it. So any of these dips is a long versus 120. Whether you sell here or you didn't sell, this is adds and move risk to there. 100% of the time on a breakout. But given the earnings risk and overnight risk, I just am not interested in swinging that. No one trade really matters, but one trade can wipe out an account. So Timmy's still talking about BE, huh? Nice move. Pretty extended from the 10 and 20 at this point. It's starting to go a bit more vertical. So in terms of watches tomorrow, I will keep Atch on watch tomorrow just to get a feel for price action, but I'm typically not interested in shorting the gap up tomorrow. If it's 70% plus by market open, then maybe I give it one attempt off of a hard crack lower high, risk highs. But I'd prefer it just to gap, run maybe 280s, 320s, and then look to trade it on Friday would be more my speed. So probably just watch it and look to trade it on Friday. Open, week opens. You can see these few wicks here, here. It only stuffed the breakout because of the Fed news, the meeting, but the big picture dips still held. So I don't mind week opens here. And if this can start to build 1070s, I like that trend join. OPI, some bankruptcy fears there into the close. But if they don't actually claim bankruptcy, I think this could have a backside bounce in it. So if there's no more news overnight, I'll look to play opening range breaks for a backside bounce. Navini ideally consolidates for a couple days and then re-breaks out would be nice. But yeah, I think open and Atch probably my main two. On breakouts, when you swing, how do you react to pre-market the next day? Will you sell in a gap up before open, sell a gap down, give it a chance to open? If it doesn't hit a stop out, that is. Yeah, the only reason I'm selling in pre-market is if it's gapping up like crazy. So in a hypothetical world, say I am buying here in the 140s and swinging it. If this is gapping up still at 2 in pre-market, I would be locking in, maybe a quarter, maybe a third of that position. I'm almost 90% of the time, unless there's some massive pre-market parabolic that it just can't sustain. But if it's just steady grind and a nice big gap, I'm almost always holding about half the position into the market open because you just don't know. If it's gapping down, I'm respecting a risk level. Sometimes my risk is I want to see it hold green and gap. So if it's red, I would sell right at market open, but I won't sell before the market open if it's red because it still has time to come back and go green. So it is a case-by-case thing, but if it's gapping up, maybe 30, 40, 50%, I'm locking in, a third, maybe a half. But I'm almost always holding a half if I'm in the money to just see what happens and let it work. And I almost never stop out in pre-market on any of my swings, longs or shorts. If there's news that comes out and changes the thesis, but if there's nothing fundamental that changes and it's just strictly technicals, like air, that's a perfect example. I think it was this one, wasn't it? Yeah. Because I was short this overnight. This was on the short side, but it's the same kind of thing. I'm short this in the 140s, anywhere in here versus VWAP pops. And I was risking like 1R on this was basically like 160. And in pre-market on the next day, we gap up. And we get a straight up move off of 7 a.m. where it goes uptick, and then starts to speed up. And it pops into prior day's highs. So I am down, 40 cents a share when I was only trying to risk 15. So I'm down about 3R at the highs. But I'm not stopping there. Like there's 2.5 hours until the market open. If this starts to, 180s, 190s, I'm going to end up having to take an outsized loss. But 9 times out of 10, it faded. So you can see that one worked. I actually added to that one. Something like Jobby did the same thing over here, right here, where I was short into this consolidation looking for this 16-17 breakdown, and it put out this PR in pre-market. It went from 17 to 19 straight up, but you can see as soon as the market opened, see you later. It happens so often with these swings because it's a technical pattern, and a lot of times that last PR, that last hurrah, is like a liquidity event where everybody who is seeing the same chart pattern but big money now is using that as a liquidity spot to execute. So something like Air, they put out that they get that pop in pre-market, and big money is like, let's just shove this one more time so I can get a few more shares. So yeah, that's a long answer to your shorter question. Alrighty, guys, I am going to wrap it up there. A few watches, lots of good discussion. Hope you guys are doing well this week. And yeah, check out the posts on the IU Traders Twitter. Some good comments. If you're in IU, Stan and Chris did a pretty long video, like 3 hours long, I want to say, today, doing some live trading, doing some trade reviews, that sort of thing. So feel free to check that out if you have access to it. I'm about an hour into it. I just watched some of it this evening. But yeah, trade them well tomorrow, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.